Even sitting here, I will tell you, please, my friend, please vote for President Ruto. He wants to transform this country, and he's already transforming this country. So as a cabinet secretary, I cannot, my first responsibility actually is to make sure that the policies of government succeed and that government is re-elected based on those policies. And that is politics. And that is good thing. And I encourage people to do politics. What we don't want is people to do bad politics or things to do with violence, hurting other people, discriminating. I cannot be allowed as a cabinet secretary, for example, to go around and say, because you don't support Ruto, we will not be given security. That is not politics. That is hatred. That is negative kind of politics. That's not leadership. So I support politics. I believe in politics. I live politics every day because I am at the privilege given by the people of Kenya through the election of President Ruto to serve at the highest level of political decision. And every day we make political decisions on how to govern this country. And there's nothing wrong with engaging in politics. The last thing is that you're saying that officers are being misused by politicians. Yeah, those who are being misused definitely will have to carry their own cross, and disciplinary action must be taken against them. But also support elected leaders, whether they are in opposition or government, there's no issue. Whether it's county or national. The role of the security sector is to support everybody and to make sure that there is safety. And we encourage good working relationship between citizens and police. That's why I'm told police officers, they should sit with border people, and they should sit with student leaders and shoot with everybody, including these people who are leading these gangs. They must be able to call them and sit down and tell them, ladies and gentlemen, let's do some things differently. We cannot continue like this. Thank you.
Okay, away from gangs, politics, and the rest, my concern is around gender-based violence. And today, statistics say that the prevalence in GBV remains alarming at 32 nationwide, but Kisumu is ranking higher. For example, the recent incident that occurred yesterday about that school-going girl, a 13-year-old who was sexually abused and later killed mercilessly. Right now, as it is, you say that the IG has already deployed a special unit to investigate the case, which is okay. Now my concern is around the GBV prevalence is alarming high. So what are the specific measures your ministry will put place at least to curb this, and how will they work together with the county government on the same to reverse the trend? Question 2 on that. Earlier when you were talking to us, you threw the investment on rescue centers on the counties. So my question on that is, as the Interior Ministry developed a national survivor rescue, is not why? Another one, what measures will you people put place at least to guarantee the safety of survivors and witnesses who oftenly face intimidation and are forced to drop their cases? Because we normally get those. Then last one, will your ministry also support mandatory training for chiefs, police officers, and local administrators to respond better to GBV cases? Because we normally find out that we have reckless chiefs and officers who, something that would have been confidential, you find that they've spread it out there, making the victim to lose face and wish for suicide. Then lastly, I'll not forget the safety of the media. We normally get attacked and brutally injured during demonstrations by the police officers, and they do that without blinking an eye. So as the Waziri of the Interior Services and National Administration, what do you have to say on that? What guarantee can you give us going forward that we will be safe during these demonstrations? Thank you.
Waziri, even as you comment on that, there's also a question my colleague here on the panel had, still touching on the GBV. Faith Mateta, I believe you had a question on GBV in regarding the stationing the GBV desk at police stations, right? So that.
Okay, we know across the various police stations we have the GBV desk, maybe are the community aware, or what measures are being taken, to promote this, to tell the community that we have such kind of desk that this information can be reported?
Thank you very much, both Millicent and Faith, on the questions of GBV. Extremely important. The issue of gender-based violence and defilements specifically is a big issue in western part of the country. That is western region and Nyanza region, and some parts of Rift Valley, especially Trans Nzoia and Bomet, and then when you go to places like Makueni, Nairobi, Machakos, and parts of coast also. So it's nearly, every part of the country. And I think, to be very honest, we need a champion. We need, champions against the sexual and gender-based violence, and especially for children. And the question is, in terms of reasons why it's prevalent, we have, I think that one, it's repugnant practices in community. Wife inheritance, things to do with this issue of, because in some cases it is stepfathers who are perpetuating these issues. In other places, things like disco matanga, because the numbers are prevalent during holidays. That means most children are safer only when they're in school. When they're out of school, their lives are in danger. By the way, it's not just about girls. In some instances also, there have been reports of sodomization of young boys. So this is a very serious issue that is prevalent because of those practices. Number two, it is also tied in some areas with drug and alcohol abuse. When these children are exposed to drugs and alcohol at a younger age, or the people who take the drugs and alcohol, they take advantage of them. In some other instance, the other reason why it's very prevalent is because the families, the community, because the people who defile, especially defilement, who defile young girls are family members, step-parents, fathers, in some situations, aunties, uncles, and all that. So what happens is that, even mothers tell their daughters, why did you behave in that manner that your father did what he did to you? So the reason, and then they will start saying, I don't want you to talk about it because you will shame your father, your uncle, you will shame this family. So they establish a kangaroo court, and they are saying they will do alternative dispute resolution on matters of GBV, sexual and gender-based violence. And I must say that in the entire engagement that we've had, one of the things I've emphasized among the chiefs is to make sure that they take seriously reporting cases of gender-based violence. There's something I want to appreciate the judiciary. In cases where these people have been arrested, the judiciary has been taking seriously than any other offense. The judiciary has taken seriously cases of sexual and gender-based violence. And I think there's an opportunity when we punish most of these offenders, sex-based, we're able to make progress. Gender-based violence also is about spouses beating their spouses. Husbands are being beaten, especially those ones who are drunkards. They're being beaten by their wives. And then husbands are also beating their wives. So these issues also, when they're reported sometimes in police station, especially when a man is beaten, some police officer wanamwambia mwanaume mzima unapigwa. So, they demean the violence meted on these men. And in some cases also it is the lady, men are, there's a lot of, a day hardly passes. You don't hear in the country that somebody stabbed the wife, or the wife killed the children, or the husband killed the wife and the children, even within the police service, because of mental health cases and so forth. So we are working on raising awareness, because most of this is raising awareness. Enforcement, we have told our police officers, I don't want us to go that way, Faith, of gender-based, whereas it's good to have the desk for those who want confidentiality. but it is advisable that every police officer, whether inside a police station or a police post, you know, or even at his own home when he's on leave, should take seriously the question of gender-based violence without really having to categorize that it is a matters that are only being dealt with by gender desk. Because these are high crimes, these are very serious crimes. We must take it for what it is. And today we were with leaders, and Senator Catherine Muma has been insisting to me even before here that she's among the leaders. There are a group of leaders that would like to become the champions to fight against the gender-based violence. And I welcome the support of all members of parliament, not just to look at the agenda, to make sure that we take seriously this issue. Again, the other practice that actually perpetuates this thing is this thing of early marriages that are supported by communities, practices like FGM and so forth. And you saw in Wajir, for example, a forced marriage of a very young girl. So all these issues, we must deal with them, we must take enforcement, but we must sensitize the public. When the consciousness of the public goes up, I think this issue will be sorted. Survivors, unfortunately, let me say this, that rescue centers are more or less linked to medical facilities, gender ministries and departments and so forth. And it works better when it's a devolved function because these medical facilities are within county. But I think also from a national level, we need to have a conversation because it is the police officers you saw, most of the OCS who are saying were the first persons to respond. And when they respond and they find someone who has been hurt, they take them to hospital. They don't know what to do with them. They'll go to hospital, we will pay the bill. And when they finish paying the bill, where are they going to live? And there was a CBO today, I forget the name, that is also doing some work here. I think that we need to make mandatory requirement for every county to have a rescue center for both victims of GBV and sexual offenses like defilement, because these people need to run away. There is a witness protection unit in the Attorney General's office. It's the Attorney General's DPP. So there is a witness protection unit that needs to be supported, and they can do some work. It's also, when we have situations where we have to protect witnesses, I think even from a DCI perspective, we can consult and understand where such witnesses can be taken, and also protection of the victims, as I've said, with rescue centers. Yes, I agree that, as Millicent is saying, that there's a lot of leakage of information. You go and, tell a police officer, such a person is a goon. That person, the next, you told only one person. And then the next day, that person, the other person, the goon is, or before when you leave the police station, the goon is texting you, telling you, utaniona, So it scares many people from coming out and report crimes and also report offenses in society. I think that such cases should be followed up, should lead to disciplinary measures against those police officers. I think we need in the National Police Service to strengthen complaint mechanism so that complaints against officers who are non-responsive can be taken seriously. And again, the Office of Ombudsman also has a role to play when it comes to failure to deliver services in any place. On the question, in any government institution or a government officer. On the question of media safety, I don't think that the police go out of the way, like you're putting it to say, okay, that one is a Ramogi TV, let me just Lima, that one is the Nation, that one is whatever, Egesa, Kisii TV, and many others. Or in that case, that should be investigated individually, because then that is really malicious and premeditated. But in most cases, journalists find themselves in the crossfire. the unintended consequences of all these mandamanos and so forth. And it's our responsibility to have continuous engagement. We have an open policy. The National Police Service has an open policy to engage the media. And it's only to our benefit that we get genuine and open media coverage. Sometimes the media houses complain when it's police, but when it's goons aligned to politicians, they support, they don't complain. We had a situation in Nairobi where certain political party was being loud, and then journalists were hurt by goons aligned to that political party. And the journalists never reported. If it was police, it would have been chaos. So we also want you to take violence seriously, regardless whether it's police or individual citizens. And I look forward to also a country where demonstrations will be peaceful, not the kind of violent demonstrations we see in our country that was not intended by the Constitution. Thank you.
With that, it's over an hour since this conversation, or rather this engagement began, and it's now that time that we want to take a very short break. This engagement continues on the other side of the break, but with the permission, Waziri, before we break for that 5 minutes, this conversation is also live online, and in as much as the questions are coming, there's also feedback. And allow me to read just one or two. There is I'm not sure where they are following from, but there is Ngeno Franklin saying consultation is the way to go, and congratulating you on that. There's also Renson Waliaula Mauka. I'm not sure exactly where this Kenyan is following from, but he's also asking that much as these conversations are very key to informing the policies, that you also need to ensure that the recommendations that you get from these engagements make part of the policies, as you put it at the start of this conversation. Well, we are taking that short break. When we come back, this conversation continues. And also remember, this conversation is live, so you can always share your questions and also feedback regarding the media engagement with Waziri for the Interior, Murkomen.